Why is my car leaking coolant? So a coolant leak is one of the most misunderstood and underestimated mechanical problems a vehicle can develop. Drivers often notice early signs without recognizing their importance. A small puddle under the car, a faint, sweet smell after parking, a heater that suddenly feels weaker, or a temperature gauge rising slightly higher than normal. Because the car still starts, because it still drives normally, because the leak seems small, most people ignore it. But a coolant leak, they're never harmless. They're never normal, and they never fix themselves. I know people that have put in a stop leak back in the day and stuff like that. I'm sure it's still out there. Worst thing you could possibly ever do to your vehicle, but, well, it's not the worst, but it's like way high up on the list. A coolant leak means the engine's temperature coolant system. The system responsible for preventing catastrophic engine damage is failing. And when coolant escapes, the system loses pressure, temperature stability, chemical protection, and lubrication all at once. So, coolant literally controls the engine temperature, prevents freezing, prevents against corrosion, lubricates components. So coolant. It's called coolant during the summer and antifreeze during the winter. It's the same stuff. Coolant and antifreeze are the exact same thing. Some of the more common causes of coolant leaks are, radiator hoses, radiator cap, the radiator itself leaks, water pump leaks, cracked coolant reservoir, heater core leaks, thermostat housing leaks, intake manifold leaks, head gasket failure it can have an internal coolant leak, freeze plug leaks, because the freeze plugs they're located in your motor, and when they're designed that when your engine actually you don't have enough coolant or enough antifreeze, and the water freezes inside of your motor, and it's supposed to push the freeze plugs out instead of cracking your block. Doesn't work all the time, but they can definitely leak. And what's funny is that people want to change their oil. People want to change their oil no matter what. Okay. And it's great. Change your oil, beyond a shadow of a doubt. It's definitely part of maintenance. I recommend every 4 months, 5,000 miles, whether you need it or not. Why not? Once a year, you're going to need to replace your air filter, your cabin air filter, do a battery service, flush the injectors, do an alignment, and at 5,000, every 4 months, 5,000, rotate and balance the tires. And then, but once a year, 15K, you're definitely doing the things I just said. And then at 30K, every other year, 30K, you're definitely doing the transmission fluid, the coolant, the power steering fluid, if you still have it, brake fluid, if you have, front and rear differentials, transfer case, whatever. You can't just change the oil and expect that to take care of your car, because the coolant goes through your engine as well. We replace the oil so that it protects the engine, but yet you've got coolant going through there that can literally ruin the engine just as easy as the oil can. It makes no sense to just try and protect part of your car. At 75,000, if you haven't already replaced the spark plugs by manufacturer's recommendation earlier than that, I don't care if it says $100,000 on your manufacturers. I'm definitely not going past 75K on my spark plugs. And shocks and struts, definitely not going past 75K, beyond a shadow. So timing belt as needed, but probably not going past 105K on that number. A lot of them call it, not a lot, but some of them call for it as early as 60. So there's just a lot that goes into maintaining your vehicle. And when you have a coolant leak and you have that sweet smell, or you have a visible leak, or something's going on, the coolant is going to be one of the least forgiving. I mean, that's a good way of saying it. You can have slack in your ball joint until it comes apart, but it's pretty forgiving for a long time. You can, your car is pretty forgiving. That's the problem. Not always, but it shouldn't be forgiving. It shouldn't have to be forgiving. It should have to. It should have an owner that takes care of it, so that it can take care of the owner. Yeah, I know it's an inanimate object, but people name their cars just like they name their children and their dogs. Not saying that children and dogs are in the same sentence by any stretch, but people definitely have emotional attachments to their car, and then they feel, betrayed when the car doesn't start. They feel betrayed when the car lets them down. But if the car did have feelings, how would the car be feeling when you're not taking care of it? And it's giving you signs, a lot of signs that it needs to be taken care of, but yet we're choosing not to take care of it. Just saying, stay safe, stay strong.